Okay, hi. Let's continue with the tongue. So technically, here's what we can say about the tongue. Tongue has lots of receptors, and you can see this later at your PDF file how it works. But let me just get to the summary here. Tongues have receptors on top of it, on the surface of it, and receptors are chemically similar, and it has molecules bind to the receptors. Like it will activate G protein when it's touched the food, and it sends out secondary messenger within cells that will tell the brains that there is a certain sensation of flavor. And this is where the social learning take place role. There's certain pattern of a signal. Let's say it's salty. We will know how to call it salty because we grew up learning that this kind of sensation is called salty. Okay, so there are two categories of people based on how they taste. They are super taster. They are non-taster. Those who are super taster, they have more sensitive tongues because they have a lot more papillae in the surface of the tongue. So they tend to have heightened sensation of taste, while those with the non-taster tongue, they don't have that much of problems. So can you guess which one is more picky when eating, the super taster or the non-taster? Yeah, you answer that. Right, the next part is about thirst. Okay, yeah, you can try this quiz on your time, at your own time. And what does water do to you? Okay, so technically, water helps us with digestion, help us with the blood circulation, help us with the muscular and the joint lubrication, and help us to deliver oxygen and nutrition all over the body through blood. Okay, if you have any questions and more details on that, we will talk about it in the class Zoom. Okay, now let's talk about the hunger and satiety. Some basics. Why do we eat? Because the body needs energy. And most of the energy is in the form of glucose or carbs. So we eat. Now, when we eat, what is in this slide is technically what you learn in the secondary school about the system. I'm not going to tell you details about that anymore. But let's get to here. All right, the normal feedback mechanism. When you eat, your blood glucose increase and the hormone insulin increase as well. Now, this insulin will help glucose enter cells for use or storage. Therefore, the hunger will go down. Now, if this happens, the glucagon will increase too. The stored supply is converted into glucose, slowing the return of the hunger. Right. Then the insulin will give us after the insulin is used, of course, the level of insulin will go down. It will also reduce the blood glucose level, and the reduce of the blood glucose level will trigger hunger, which will tell us to eat. Okay, so this circle will happen again and again forever for normal feedback mechanism, for normal healthy people. For those with diabetes type 1, these are people with the constantly low insulin level. So even after they eat, the blood glucose will be high because they put sugar in their blood, but the insulin level will be low. In this kind of stuff, the glucose doesn't enter cells, the digestion, the things doesn't happen. So all of the glucose will be left in urine and feces. The hunger will be higher, but the food technically the nutrients are not technically absorbed. So the blood glucose will be high, but cells remain starving. The high level of blood sugar will produce hunger, not because of the blood sugar, but because the cells are starving. So it sends the brain some signal to make us feel hunger, and then we will eat. But our cells, like the muscle cell or the brain cell, will not get enough food because the insulin level is low. At this kind of diabetes, people need some injection of insulin to help them with this situation. So at the diabetes type 2, they have constantly high insulin level. So after they eat, the blood glucose will be high and the insulin level will always be high. So the insulin help glucose enter the cells, therefore the hunger level will go down very quickly. And because of that, the blood glucose is down despite the insulin is still high. The blood glucose is down and it will give them a rapid hunger returns. They will feel hunger again and then they will eat again and so on. So problem with this, people, they might have too much consumption of food, of blood sugar, without them actually needing it. Right, so you know where will it lead. Okay, read biopsychology material on the brain mechanism of hunger and satiety. Okay, by having said this, it will be good for you to know about these stuffs, but I will not use it in the final exam. It's just for your knowledge. Okay, let's talk about the GI of the food, glycemic index. So technically, food with high glycemic index will increase your blood sugar level quicker compared to those food with lower GI index. So what kind of food have high GI index? Sugar, technically. Anything sweet, white bread, white rice, processed carbs. You know, sugar and processed carb, they have high glycemic index. Low glycemic index are more into the whole grain meat, you know, like whole grain food, bread, and so on. This kind of food have technically low sugar, therefore it will not increase your blood sugar really quickly. So, because why when you eat high GI food, you tend to feel hungry quickly? Because high GI food will cause your blood sugar to rise more quickly, and then the insulin will be spiked in responding the spike of the blood sugar level. Because of that, when the insulin level go up, the blood sugar level will go down. Therefore, it triggers the hunger. So, if you want to to limit your eating, don't take sweet food, or technically don't eat too often. Right, this is about the glycemic index. Okay, now leptin. Leptin assesses how body fats reserve at every meal. Leptin is released when you eat fatty stuff. The higher the fat level, the hormone leptin will be released. So when leptin level is high, body understands that there is a plenty of nutrition that you have, so you can be active. Right, not necessarily that you will not be hungry because it's related to the insulin, but you have energy to do the move or to do the action. So when do we eat? Do we eat when we feel hungry? Do we eat because our stomach gives signal to the brain? No, because people without stomach, patients who have surgery to remove their stomach, they can still feel hungry. So what actually make us feel hungry? Right, there's a set point theory of eating. First, your fat level and your sugar level should be kept at certain level by the body. So the body kind of learn that, okay, I have this level of sugar, this level of protein. They have to remain this way. So if I feel lower level of sugar or lower level of fat, then the body will tell the brain that to eat more. So the sugar level and the protein and the fat level will be kept at the level we want. Now, is this standard always good? Sometimes it's just because of the habit, and it's not like you don't need that much. Okay, right. The next theory is positive incentive theory. So because eating is pleasurable, remember when you teach Poppy, when they do right things, what do you give? Food, treat, right? So because of that, food is somehow enjoyed. So there's some biopsychosocial reasons that encourage or discourage the frequency and amount of consumption. So we eat sometimes because of social learning. So should we be careful about what we eat? Yes. Or do we just eat? Well, technically it's up to you. You're an adult, so I can't deal with that because it's technically up to you. However, how much we eat, if you if you look at the previous slide, remember about the blood sugar and the fat level. Right, now sensory specific satiety. A temporary decline in pleasure derived from us consuming a certain food in comparison of other consumed food. When you eat something that you crave for, let's say cheese. Okay, wow, look at those ads, the pizza is so cheesy and so on. And then you went to that restaurant, you get to that restaurant and order all of those cheesy stuff. You can't even finish all of those cheese. You take like maybe just a portion and a half or something, and then you feel like, damn, those cheese don't look any, interesting anymore. When I put it in my mouth, I don't like enjoy it anymore because there's this satiety. Because it promotes the consumption of varied meal. Somehow it's automatically in your head. You are designed that way by the creator. So you will not only eat same thing all over again. You might eat same things every day, but will not keep eating the same thing for a longer period because the brain will somehow, our body and our brain is somehow smarter than us. So they will stop you from eating similar thing, and then they will ask you to eat something else. Technically, that's how it works. Okay, now psychological influence of food choice. Previously, we talked about biological influence. Now, in this last 5 minutes, let's talk about the food choice based on psychological influence. First, there's something called neophobia. We'll talk about the details in the classroom, but just for a bigger picture, neophobia is being afraid of trying new food. Now, because of this, then people tend to have a different problems when they used to eat bad food, like unfortunately, it happened to many parents today. After the children finish their period of baby food, they will introduce the kid to unhealthy food first, like sugary food, fatty food, fried food, happy meal, which will limit their knowledge of the experience on healthy food, like vegetables, good food, and so on. Therefore, they will be afraid of taking good food because they have neophobia. Now, because of that, because people have a tendency to have neophobia, okay, who are up to for lizard satay, for example, because it's not familiar for you, you might not want to taste it. That's why, as parents or as educators, we better expose children to good food early so they don't have to have a nutritional problem because of neophobia. Picky eaters. Well, technically, it's a heightened sensitivity to texture or flavor. That's why I told you in the previous slides before that people with heightened sensitivity in tongue tend to have this kind of habit because their tongue is kind of like too sensitive, so it's any flavor is being enhanced. Yeah, maybe the taste of garlic or ginger will not be torturing you if it's just a drop, but imagine if you're like munching garlic. Now imagine if someone with super tasting kind of tongue have to eat something with small amount of garlic. That's what they feel. They feel like crunching the whole garlic. Right. So that's why people like this is encouraged to be involved in the meal preparation, so they know they know what's in the food. Right. Learning and modeling. If you want to eat healthy, be around people who eat healthy. Does it work? It works for me. Does it work for me now? Well, I'm around you now. Let's see. Right. There's overt and covert control. Parents try to control their children. Okay, first, if you happen to be a parent, be good because you know what's good, what's not. Now, if you just set free from your parents, how do you feel? Like, okay, yeah, my parents are no longer living with me now, so I can eat as much ice cream as I can. Now, is that the right attitude? Well, let's look at yourself. Right, conditioned taste aversion. We can actually condition ourselves to stop eating certain kind of flavor that we are not supposed to, to take. It can happen subconsciously, but we can make it actually. For example, like a friend of mine happened to like a certain food. Okay, she went to a restaurant and she liked a cheesecake, and so she tried that, and it's like, okay, it's damn good. I might come to this restaurant every day because it's closer to my house. So she just ordered like, I don't know, 3 or 5 and finished it right there, up to the point that she reached the level of the previous slide. I can't take this anymore. I hate this flavor. So therefore, she stops eating that. She stops liking that. It's a good strategy, but it's a little bit expensive. All right, so that's it. Let's see you in the classroom. And that's it. Bye-bye. Prepare your question.